you imagine living the American dream with a huge house, a beautiful wife, and then throwing it all away? Welcome back everyone to another Psych Reacts video. Today we are looking once again at Chris Watts. Recently a video was uploaded of his confession. He finally confessed to the crimes that has been haunting the investigators since it happened. If you remember, I covered this entire case on this channel right here, so if you have not already checked it out, I highly recommend you do so before you jump into this video. But let's go ahead and get started.
But we never really got to talk about that night. That's what happened.
It was, me and Shanette, she got home like at 2 o'clock. I felt her get in the bed, and I could kind of feel her kind of stirring around a little bit. I just had a feeling that she knew like what was going on. I didn't even want to say it, I felt like I had to. I just felt like there was already something in my mind that was implanted that I was going to do it, and I woke up that morning, it was going to happen, and I had no control of it.
Alright, so he's not talking about the murder here. He's actually talking about his affair with Nicole. He already knew that once she came back, he had to say something about their marriage. He had to say somehow that the marriage is over, I don't feel anything for you, and I have another person that I care about truly, right? So that is initially what he was thinking of right here. Now, real fast, before we get any further into this video, Chris Watts was diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. Now, this is a disorder where the person has an inflated sense of self-importance. Some symptoms include excessive need for admiration, disregard for others' feelings, which we'll see later on in this video, and an inability to handle any criticism and a sense of self-entitlement. So, he was already subconsciously figuring out a way to end the marriage so that he could go fulfill his dreams with this other person, right? This is where the narcissistic personality does shine in Chris Watts' case. He had no regard for what his wife would feel when he says, I don't have feelings for you anymore. And it was all about himself. He wasn't doing it for Shanann, he was doing it for himself so he could go off with this new lover and live this perfect life that he had in his mind. Let's go ahead and continue.
I woke her up, and it's like, we just gotta talk. And I just told her, I don't feel compatible, I don't feel like this is gonna work.
Chris wants to tell her he wants a divorce and he's having an affair. That's the first time that he ever admits to Shanann that there is another woman in the picture, is moments after she got home.
And she's like, I knew there was somebody else. And she's like, never gonna see the kids again, never gonna see them again.
So Chris decides to have this conversation as soon as Shanann gets home from a late night. He tells her that he wants a divorce. There's somebody else. Shanann said, I suspected this. So she's angry, of course, right? And sometimes when you're angry, you say things that you don't mean, or sometimes you do say things that you mean, but you probably shouldn't say them at the time. And she says, you're never going to see the kids again. So right here, this is where the coin flips. This is where Chris Watts becomes so angry that he will never be able to see his kids again, and that she has this control over him that he doesn't want her to have. So let's go ahead and take a look at his reaction to her saying this.
She's like, never gonna see the kids again, never gonna see them again, get off, don't hurt them again.
That's when Chris gets on top of his pregnant wife and starts to strangle her.
Strangulation is a very personal form of murdering somebody.
Chris says Shanann didn't say anything. He claims she didn't fight back.
Why do you think she wasn't fighting?
Maybe she was praying, for the scripture says, don't forgive these people for they do not know what they do. Maybe she was saying that. I don't know what she was saying in her head.
So right after Shanann says you'll never see the kids again, Chris Watts gets on top of his wife and starts to strangle her. Now they say strangulation is the most personal form of murder, and that's true because you have to be in close vicinity of your victim. Usually when people use this form of murder, it's either personal, which in Chris Watts' case it was, it's a silent way of murder, and sometimes it's an assertion of dominance. Now, potentially here, Chris Watts obviously strangled his wife out of anger for that he would lose the kids. Now, we know that Shanann was the dominant one in this relationship. Shanann had the more outgoing personality, she had the more bubbly personality, whereas Chris Watts was a little bit more reserved. Now, since this was a strangulation, it's possible that subconsciously he was regaining his dominance, he was reasserting his dominance over Shanann through the strangulation because he was able to physically outperform her. Although he may not have been thinking this while doing the act. However, it's possible that his subconscious had this buried deep away. So let's go ahead and continue forward.
What was she saying in her head? Did I know I was gonna do that before I got out? It's kind of like I just saw my life just disappearing before my eyes, but just like I couldn't let go. It was like somebody else, like if you picture somebody else around you, holding your hands, holding you, keep you from not letting go. When she was gone, it was just like I didn't know what was going on. I was shaking. I didn't know what happened.
All right. So he says that he wasn't aware that this was going to happen. And more than likely, it probably wasn't premeditated. Originally, he did want to get a divorce. However, when Shanann mentioned that he was never going to see the kids, this flipped something in his brain. Since he has narcissistic personality disorder, it's all about him. And if he doesn't get what he wants, then nobody can have what they want. That's kind of how their brains are driven. So he might have taken Shanann as a threat and therefore stopped her from taking the kids. Now what happens next is very gruesome, so viewer discretion is advised.
After he killed Shanann, he was pulling her off the bed with a bed sheet. And that's when his oldest daughter, Bella, walked in the room and saw what was going on.
What'd she say?
Mom, you don't feel good.
He wrapped up Shanann's body. He took her downstairs to the garage.
Tempted to pick her up and take her down, but I lost the grip after a little while. Just had to pull.
Did Bella see you do that? What was Bella saying?
She started crying a little bit. She said, "What's wrong, Mom?"
And what did you say that time?
She doesn't feel good. She's a smart girl. She didn't know what was going on there.
Mm-hmm.
His oldest daughter, Bella Watts, at the age of 4 years old, watched her father drag her mother's lifeless body down the stairs. This is where we get into the narcissistic personality disorder, the symptom of disregard for others' feelings. Bella was sitting there crying because she knew something was wrong with her mom. She may not have fully understood, but she probably got the idea of what was going on. Now, instead of saying, "Bella, go back to your room," or consoling his daughter, he continued to drag his wife down the stairs. I mean, come on, the least you could have done is tell her to go back to her room, right? Like, a 4-year-old girl should not have seen that. She shouldn't have had to seen that, you know? So that's where that narcissism comes in, that symptom of disregard for others, is because he didn't even try to console his daughter. He just kept doing what he was doing, and he was only thinking for himself.
Bella watched him as he dragged his wife's body down the staircase to his truck. He loads Shanann's body into the back of his truck, and then his 2 daughters alive.
And honestly, like I try to picture that whole ride, like it's like 45 minutes to an hour ride out there, and it's just like, couldn't I have like saved my girl's life? Couldn't I have done something? Why did I do that? I don't know.
Right.
Like this is my flesh and blood. This is like what I wanted all my life, was to be a dad, just to have, you know, kids, and they love me, they, you know, all that, and it just nothing made sense.
So with Shanann's body in the car, he took the kids out to the oil place that he worked at. Well, during this whole time, as he said, he wasn't sure why he never tried to save his children. In my opinion, I think he felt trapped, and I think he panicked and didn't know what to do. Now, Bella, although being 4 years old, she had already seen what her father had done. She knew what her father had done to her mother. At this point, he is still only thinking about himself. Bella saw what he did, therefore she is a witness. So the moment Bella walked in was the moment that Bella wouldn't survive. In the end, he did try to play it off like he didn't know what happened to his children. He tried to play it off like, oh, Shanann took the kids somewhere and then they went missing. So he was trying to find a way to dig himself out of it. With Bella knowing and seeing that he drug his wife's body down the stairs, she would say something as a 4-year-old and get him in trouble, right? So he couldn't let that happen. And that's why the tragedy had to occur for both girls.
He admits to taking them out to Zerby 319.
He proceeded to dig a shallow grave for Shanann and cover her back up.
He then returns to his vehicle with his 2 daughters, and then he grabs Cece's favorite blanket and smothers her.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing that happened to me as CC.
Bella was fully aware of what just happened.
I don't know if I just said yes like a horrible person, or if I just put that blanket over her too and did the same thing. It's like every time I closed my eyes, I just hear her saying, "Daddy, no," and that was it.
Once again, he let Bella watch. Once again, proving his narcissism, showing that disregard for others' feelings. Because I assure you, that kid was crying. She was aware of what was going on, and he did nothing to stop her from seeing the horrors right in front of her. Because to him, he wanted that life with Nicole. And he wouldn't get that life with Nicole with those two kids still alive. Eventually, Bella would get asked questions, and eventually the truth would come out.
I hear that every day.
She fought for her life.
Then he took the children one at a time and he put them into the oil tanks.
Those are my kids. This is my baby. I have to talk to them every night. I don't see how this could happen.
Okay.
Every time I see pictures of them, I don't know how this could have happened. Being a dad was the best part of my life. I took it all away.
And indeed, he did take it all away. For now, he is sentenced to life in prison. So, the investigators say that the details were so intricate that it's impossible for him to have made it up. They fully believe his story, his confession, and now the investigators know what happened to Shanann and the kids. So the rest of the video is a little bit sad, so if you want to go check it out for yourself, I'll leave a link in the description below. But that's going to do it for today. If you did watch and enjoy this video, be sure to drop a like down below. Also, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Make sure, if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. But anyways, that's going to do it for this one, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace!